Everybody, welcome back to The Reason We Learn. I'm Deb Philman, mom, homeschooler, ex-teacher, and individualist. You might remember on this channel a while back, I brought you the story of the Dalton School in New York City and the reaction of parents to letters that went around resisting the reopening of the very expensive private school, not just because of the virus, but also because the Black teachers and many Black students had a list of demands, and the demands included things like requiring courses focusing on Black liberation and challenges to white supremacy, abolishing high-level academic courses by 2023 if the performance of Black students is not on par with non-Black. So, reducing opportunity to achieve equity. Remember we talked about that last week. And so I brought you that video, and I'll link to it here so you can watch it if you like. But I just noticed this on Twitter that somebody wrote a piece this past week entitled "The Political Indoctrination in New York City's Dalton School is Not What American K-12 Education Should Be About." Well, I would hope that should go without saying, that it shouldn't be about where a subset of the school, especially in a private school where people have an option to not be there and they pay dearly to attend, that, it shouldn't be about shaking people down with all these racist demands. So there's this article, and then the article says the extreme progressive impulses infecting higher education in the United States have moved from campus quads and dormitories in our nation's middle and high schools and even kindergartens. But they make the point, despite the impression that anti-liberal totalitarian state has seized the world of education, I have some positive news about the wave of politically correct speech and progressive ideas pervading our educational institutions. Majorities of citizens want viewpoint diversity in our K-12 world and reject these progressive ideas and behaviors. And then they point to a new survey from the American Council of Trustees and Alumni of 800 Illinois residents. Seems like a small sample, but I'm assured that it's sufficient to write this article. A diverse state resembling much of the nation, demographically and economically, the growth of woke culture in our education system is not popular. I want to show you the actual survey. Here it is. Citizens of Illinois strongly support free speech and do not favor politicization K-12 education. And there's a PDF. I'll put a link to this in the description section. A majority of respondents, again, it was 800 people. I don't do well with statistics as far as like what a sample size ought to be. So somebody can chime in the comments and tell me, no, it's perfectly fine to survey 800 Illinoisans about current trends in K-12 and higher education, as well as broader issues, blah, blah. And that's sufficient for us to feel good about this. But here's my problem. Okay, I'm looking at these graphs. I'm usually the glass half full girl. Really, I am. I'm usually all about what's there and being excited for any progress. But I can't help but notice, you see, the light blue are the woke people, the ones who like it. That's still really big. That's still a lot of people. And I think it's big enough for us to still be extremely concerned. And here's why. What's popular is not always what happens. I mean, look at most, most issues that we deal with in this country. Raising taxes is not popular. It's not. It's like really not popular with anybody right now. Even people I know who are Democrats are like, I don't know if it's a really good time to be doing that. Like, may not be a great idea. So it's not universally popular. It's popular with a loud subset of people who hate the rich. Okay. And it's mostly going to affect the middle class because all of this kind of feeds on down, and, they're going to pass it on to us in higher costs for goods and automation. Same with raising the minimum wage. But it's not popular with the majority across all parties. And yet we're going to see a tax hike. That's just how it's going to work because of who's in power. Now that power does shift more frequently than, shall we say, the public schools. The people who favor this kind of maneuver are in power in our school districts. They're in power at the Department of Education. They're in power in school boards. They're in power in the unions. They run the show. They own the schools more than ever before. They're also sitting atop a gigantic pile of money. In addition to the usual, it's $1.3, $1.4 trillion budget that schools have nationwide as it is. They're sitting atop CARES money on top of CARES money. They are so flush in cash, they don't know what to do with it. Well, I think we all know they're not going to go raise teacher salaries and make sure instruction is improved and, reduce class sizes and build nicer buildings that are less like prisons and other things that they could do. No, they're putting that into diversity, equity, and inclusion because that's a multi-billion-dollar business right now, hiring diversity officers who are not going to want to fire so readily, because that would look kind of racist too, wouldn't it? Yeah, they've kind of committed. They're all in on it. Also, there are vendors of not just the diversity officers, the vendors now of the curricula that are going to be lobbying to keep it and so forth and so on. So this is a follow the money, follow the power kind of situation. And even before they added the woke stuff, before that, they had multiculturalism, and before that, they had self-esteem and anti-bullying. It seems like every 4 years or so, have you noticed? At least every 4, sometimes maybe 8. We get some new faddish solution to all that ails us in education. We're told it's this thing. It's this one thing. That's the problem. And it's rarely literacy. Ever notice that? It's rarely that kids can't read. No, or can't do math. It's all about some psychosocial problem. And it's been that way since at least the 80s. And coincidentally, that's when critical theory came on the scene. But I think they were sort of feeding it to us in crumbs. Like, first, we'll give it to them as, like, we're going to do group work. We're going to do group work in whole language because we need to be more group. We need to cooperate more, and working independently is just not really that great. So we're going to, do that. Okay. Then it was, something else, self-esteem, and trophies for everybody. Now, we can't have them feel bad about themselves. We got to not use red pen, and we have to watch out for, too much standardized testing. So we're going to add more standardized testing. Literally, they added more while talking about self-esteem. So there's some kind of faddish excuse for spending a ton of money on something that has nothing to do with core skills, everything to do with, psychosocial development and the whole child and social emotional learning. And they just keep rebranding it. They keep giving it a new name, but it serves a couple of purposes. On the one hand, at the low level, if you're not a super political person, but you're in education, you're like, awesome, something to blame the lack of performance on that has nothing to do with my teaching or our curriculum or our management of the schools. It's out there in society, and we're going to bring in this new curriculum. We're going to address the societal ills, but you can always conveniently fall back on those societal ills are just so huge, y'all. It's just, we tried, but you didn't give us enough money. We didn't have enough time. It was too ingrained in the system. Not our fault, but we tried. And so then it's like, nope, it was really this. And even critical race theory and what we're seeing now is branded as that wasn't working because we didn't go hard enough on it. We weren't serious and we didn't do the work. So now this is the latest. So that for the people sort of down below, it's like, yay, bonus, not my fault. It's this thing. Now we're going to address it with this new curriculum, whatever. But for the people who really make it happen, the people who are impervious to surveys like this, they don't care. It's irrelevant. Did they go to you for your opinion last year? Did they go to you for your opinion on how to teach reading 20 years ago? And in all these years when the results were going down, and people were going, what's going on with literacy? Did they do a survey on parents would like to see phonics included in the classroom? Whether it's viewpoint diversity and freedom of speech or how you're teaching reading, whatever, they don't care. Let me make sure I get that crystal clear to you. They don't care. Who's they, Deb? Well, the people in power, teachers unions, the politicians, and all the vendors who benefit from the interaction of all of these people who are pulling money out of you using emotions and heartstrings and fear, and then turning around and giving it to all their buddies, and then turning around and using stuff like this to blame the lack of performance of a system not designed to perform in the first place, just designed to basically be a money laundering operation and a, slush fund for their buddies. Okay. With lots of clever words to make it look like it's really smart and important and, that people are going to learn stuff. Okay. We got to do something. Shoot. The parents are going to wonder why their kids can't read and can't do math. So it's this. And they just come up with a new thing. They don't care if you don't like it. They don't care. They're already committed. They're committed. Your opinion survey is totally irrelevant to them. They're never going to care. I was going to say the only way they're going to care is no, they're never going to care. So let's just dispense with that. I am usually a girl the glass half full girl, but no, not on this. It's not going to happen. So you can do surveys. You can talk about the good news is people don't like it. The only reason that's good news to me is that means there are fewer parents out there than I thought who are perfectly okay with their children being abused, which is really good news, at least psychologically. I don't have to have nightmares at night about what kind of society I might live in, someday. But it will only matter. It will really only matter that these parents have a clue if they do what they need to do about it. And what they need to do about it is not complain. Even showing up to school board meetings, that's wonderful. Running for school board and, trying to do it, that's fantastic. But unless you are able, and good luck, okay, unless you're able to literally mutiny, take over an entire school board, take over a state, kick out the union, fire the union reps, fire all the unionized employees, it's set who are propping up the politicians to make all this possible in the first place. Unless you're able to stage that kind of a coup, you're really not going to do anything. And I would put your odds at like near zero. You'll win some seats, and you might turn some very small districts here and there in some very red states and things like that. But on the whole, I would say no. Where you're going to have success is only on two fronts. Leave, and all that's going to do is if enough people do it, if all the people here who want viewpoint diversity actually voted with their feet and left and gave their kids viewpoint diversity without letting their kids continue to be lab rats, hoping, praying, yelling, screaming, voting. Meanwhile, another year goes by, another year goes by, another year goes by that their kids literally marinating in this garbage, even though only a minority like it. So unless you vote with your feet and get out, you're not going to reform anything. They still have your kid. Your kid is still compelled to be there. What is their incentive to change? None. So if enough people leave, they might go, oh, crap. But even then, I put your odds at 15% that they'll care. If, on the other hand, you do a really good job of getting people elected who are pro-school choice, and I don't mean Medicare for school, like we're going to run that through the government and you get a voucher. No. I mean, I get to keep my money. I literally get to keep my money. I put it when I put my dependents down on a piece of paper for the state, and I say, I'm educating these children, and here's how I'm doing it. And I therefore get to keep all my property tax, or whatever percentage of the property tax was going to education. It's usually around 70%. I get to keep it. It's my property, my kids. I'm going to use it to educate them as I see fit. Here's what I'm doing. Sign on the dotted line. Yep, keep your own money. Unless you support candidates who do that, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Then they might, because we're talking hundreds of thousands of employees and vendors and people whose livelihoods depend upon education. They might suddenly go, oh, crap. I guess we better care. But even then, as long as it's controlled by government, they'll just bide their time and wait until they get politicians. It won't be long either. They'll get politicians in who want to do their bidding again, and we'll be right back to where we are. So if you actually care about your child, and if you are not, won over by this type of stuff, is it like, oh, it's really okay because, people in Illinois, 800 people in Illinois agree, there's a bunch of them that agree with me, so it's all going to be fine. No, it's not going to be fine. All this means, like I said, is there are fewer psychopathic parents out there who are fine abusing their children. The fewer communists maybe than you thought in Illinois. But so what? What difference does it make? The reason the blue is that big is that they kept their kids in the schools all these years despite plummeting performance. They kept saying, yep, we'll send your kid to the public school. It's a good school. My realtor told me, yep, it's a good school because why? Why is it a good school? Do you even know? No. The realtor told you. It said so on some, goodschoolsthing.com or whatever. You didn't, the test scores are high. Did you look at what the test scores are measuring? Did you look at what grade level is? Did you really examine whether that was good enough for you? No, you didn't. Don't lie. Maybe like one or two of you did, but no, you really didn't. Come on. And that's okay. I understand because you did what everybody else does. I'm here telling you now, I'm giving you this little tidbit of wisdom because you can make a change. Yes, you can. Even if your kid's in 11th grade, you can. Yes, it's not too late to just get them at least 1 year of sanity. But, I just don't see this as this awesome news. I don't. That's what I wanted to tell you today, is that you're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing there's good news. But look, we're winning. Oh, it's happening. Oh, we're taking back our schools. You cannot take back that which was never yours. You cannot take back that which was never yours and never will be yours. It belongs to the government and the teachers unions, which are just a another layer of government, and they don't care about you. They don't care about your children. They don't care about your opinion polls. They don't care about anything but CYA and taking your money and propping up their own livelihoods. That's it. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you look at the incentives and where they are, and that no matter what they say, blah, blah, caring our kids matter, blah, blah, you know they're lying because watch their feet. Schools are still closed where there are strong unions. They're still closed. They're out there going door to door in Arizona. Don't let them approve vouchers. Don't let them approve school choice. We can't take money away from our public schools. What money? You people have so freaking much money coming from the federal government. You just don't want school choice because you know good and damn well that if parents are given a choice, they will freaking leave in droves. And what I'm sitting here trying to get you to do is leave anyway. And I know it's a tall order because you already gave your money, but I would rather see you spend the time fighting for the school choice while your kid's not getting abused. Okay? Because you're going to have to fight either way. But it's easier to get lulled into like, well, the kids at the school and not fight anymore because they're there than if you pulled them out. Oh, and P.S., you might actually realize they're getting a better education and you might be happier and they might be happier and everybody's happier. So the fight to get school choice will be that much easier because you will have evidence for yourself that justifies you going and spending the time and maybe the money and the energy to do it. And you might think, well, why would I do it then if my kid's out of the school? Why am I doing it? My kids aren't in the schools. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do for everybody. It's the moral thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do. It's better for your kids to grow up in a country that's not full of ignorant, illiterate people who are educated by the government to be ignorant and illiterate because it's the right thing to do. That's why you'll do it. Also, it's your money, P.S. So I would like to think even when your kids are out of the school, you would still like to keep it. Yeah. So anyway, oh, and P.S., if you don't have kids and you pay property taxes or are going to the public schools, I'm speaking to you too, because you should be all in on school choice. Imagine if the only people who had to pay for education were the people who had kids. Think of how the incentives would shift. Suddenly, you might actually think twice about having those kids in the first place, right? And I'm not suggesting we reduce the population. I'm just suggesting that maybe people might not be so cavalier about making babies. And so if they have kids and they know it's going to be on them to educate the children with their own money and so forth, then, maybe the people who ought not be reproducing will reproduce less. And if you find that offensive, I'm very sorry. I just speak the truth. So if you don't have children, don't plan to have children, or your children are grown and you kind of don't like that you're paying these taxes for education that you don't use, I understand. I actually don't blame you, and I'm a parent. I don't have a claim on your income. I think there could easily be a fund you could donate to contribute to parents who want to, because you think it's important or whatever. Go for it. Knock yourself out. Donate to some homeschool group or whatever. But it shouldn't be taken from you. You might have other concerns. You might have a healthcare issue. You might have an elderly parent you'd like to take care of instead of someone else's children. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to ramble on anymore about this. I just wanted to bring this to you because it's been on my mind. I've started seeing more of this, like, we're going to win. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to win. There's no winning with the public school. There's no reforming the public school. Get your kids out of the public school, then fight against the immoral practice of taking your money away from you to pour into a system of graft and corruption. Just do it, because you should. All right, so that's what I have for you today. Thank you for watching. If you find this content useful, entertaining, informative, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this. Comment as well. I would appreciate it. I appreciate all of your support as well. If you could consider joining my locals community if you're interested in topics like education, that would be great. There are some, I have Zoom calls twice a week. I provide some homeschooling information over there. We have conversations back and forth that we can't really have in the comments here, and you'll never be censored. So that's a plus. You can also support this channel through any of the means below in my description box. I will put this little survey there for your detailed perusal. And again, I thank you for watching and subscribing. Take care.